thing is send out that, and then we'll start going. And we're live, baby.
We are live. All right. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. If you're joining us a little bit later, maybe the next day, whenever this was aired, but it is Tuesday. Free agency is just getting into the thick of things. We are getting into the nitty gritty. Kenny Gallau is still on the market, so he is still up in the air on his new destination, but there have been some splashes going on. But what is going on, Julius? What's going on, my man? Any thoughts on this free agency real quick?
It's been crazy, man. It's just been so much going on. It's hard to keep track of. For the Lions, though, it hasn't been. And for that, I'm actually pleased because I don't want to see us throwing any big contracts at any players, as fragile and vulnerable as our roster stands right now. We're making a couple good moves. We're releasing a lot of players, but I'm just sitting back and watching the show.
Absolutely. That's kind of what you just got to do during free agency. It all doesn't really happen within 1, even 2 days. It kind of is a whole process. You get your rushes of, free agency signings here and there. But all in all, we should see, a couple free agents sign each day for at least a week or so. So, Nick, what's going on, man? I know you were just hooping a few hours ago, but give me some of your quick thoughts on this free agency and maybe some of the Lions we've let go.
I don't see any problems with the Lions that we've let go. Jamal Agnew that's a bit of a heartbreaker. We'll get to that, but other than that, it's kind of just all chalk right now, right? We predicted these cap casualties. We've been seeing this. Coleman, we knew was going to be gone. Shelton, Daniels, all these guys. So and also free agency hasn't been so frantic, this year, in my opinion, and it's starting to heat up a little bit. But COVID's really thrown a restriction into the amount of free agency frenzy. Like if you look back at like 2 years ago, even last year, like we had trades. OBJ was being traded, and all these things were happening left and right. Things you never believe. And I still haven't seen Deshaun Watson go anywhere. I still haven't seen Russell Wilson go anywhere. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe they have in the moment that I'm saying this, but I don't know. I've kind of been, a little sad about the free agency frenzy this year. And as a overall for the Lions, it's just exactly what I expect. We are not going to be spending big, and we're going to be cutting a lot of people. We're just getting rid of the last regime. So yes, I was balling too, so I'm going to be out of breath pretty much this entire episode. Got myself into a couple heated games, and they were fun. Hit one of the game winners, so take that to the bank. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it is kind of a typical Lions free agency. We didn't expect a whole lot, but what I will say is what's kind of getting me happy is our division rivals haven't really made any splashes either. I mean, the Packers re-signed Aaron Jones. That was their biggest splash. The Vikings, they brought in one defensive tackle, Dalvin Tomlinson. That was decent signing, but other than that, and then the Bears, they signed Andy Dalton. So it's been pretty good free agency for a team that hasn't really made a whole lot of free agency signings. So but before we get into the Bears, Packers, and Vikings breakdown, we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk some news, some just overall free agents that got signed during this week. The Patriots, this kind of shocked me, in which they double dipped into the tight ends. They got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. I thought that was very, very wild after they drafted 2 tight ends on day 2 last year. So now they have, 4 capable tight ends to start in the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I'll ask you this real quick, Julius. There's been some rumors on Kyle Pitts coming to Detroit. What are some of your quick thoughts on, us running a 2 tight end setup with, one electric fast tight end being Kyle Pitts and the other one, TJ Hawkinson, the end zone playmaker?
I mean, it's a good idea in theory, but with the Lions' history of draft choices and how bad this roster has been, I mean, anything is open. Oh, Kyle Pitts is open. That's open. The Lions could draft him. And it could be liked, it could be disliked by a lot of people. So, I mean, and it's a lot of players. There's a lot of players like that, not just Kyle Pitts. This roster is so unknown. Everything is so unknown that it's just hard to make a conclusion on where they would want to go. But Kyle Pitts and TJ Hockenson, in theory, two tight ends, two dynamic vertical tight ends like that. I mean, that's a decent idea, but I don't know if that's where Dan Campbell and Deuce Staley and those guys want to go.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a long shot, but there's definitely some, possibility or thought in every Lions fan's back of their head, just because, our history with tight ends, with Hawkinson, Pettigrew, and so on. So, yeah, I think, it's going to stick in everyone's brain, but I don't think that this is something that will get momentum rolling, kind of like, Isaiah Simmons last year for the Lions when he had, some type of momentum going for us potentially drafting him. So, other than, the Patriots drafted or signing two big name tight ends, there wasn't a whole lot. Jameis Winston is heading back to the Saints. The Bears were interested in him. I'm glad that he's going back to the Saints and not the Bears. Bears ended up not getting Russell Wilson, not getting Deshaun Watson, but yes, sir, Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. So that's awesome. I am happy to see that Andy Dalton's going to be the face of the Bears at least the next year or so, and not see an elite quarterback like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Even if they were to give up the house to get those quarterbacks, it would still be a very, very scary team for the next, 3 to 4 years. But it's not happening. They are rolling with Andy Dalton, I guess. Mitch Trubisky is still unsigned. They have kind of confirmed that they're just going to let Trubisky walk. So he's kind of the last decent quarterback out there. It'll be interesting to see if he gets another shot. But Julius, quick thoughts on Andy Dalton going to the Bears. We'll get to it more a little bit later, but just give me some of your quick thoughts on that.
Andy Dalton going to the Bears is the funniest thing that ever happened to Bears Twitter and NFC North Twitter at the same time. The memes that's coming out of the Twitter meme factory on Andy Dalton and Ryan Pace and all those guys is hilarious. But I mean, the Bears might not be done. I mean, I'm sure they tried to get Russell Wilson. They couldn't give up enough. Evidently, Russell Wilson is untouchable. That's what that tells me, because I'm sure the Bears offered a lot. I mean, it's Russell Wilson. Deshaun Watson, I don't know if they even wanted him. They even gave, I don't know what the deal is. This is all I know. If Nick Foles and Andy Dalton going in as the quarterback competition for the Bears into 2021 season, it's going to be rough for the Bears next season. It's going to be rough and they might as well get ready for what we went through last year. You hear me? If it's any Bears fans listening, pain is coming your way. If you go into next season with Nick Foles and Andy Dalton quarterback competition, trade up, draft Mac Jones, draft Trey Lance, do something desperate, or else, I mean, the writing might already be on the wall for the Bears anyway. The Packers are the clear NFC North favorite, with the Minnesota Vikings slightly behind them at this point, at this stage, I would say. The Lions are distant fourth, and that's because we don't have a roster.
It's a good spot, or it's a good time to be fourth right now. It really looks like no one.
It's never a good time to be fourth.
Well, yes, it is. I'm happy. I'm happy right now that we don't have a roster to look at, because I'd rather not have a roster than have what we had a month ago on the depth chart.
I agree, except
we shed a lot of bad weight. We shed a lot of bad weight, and it's great.
I was intrigued to see what these guys would have done under a coach who knew what he was doing. Like I really was. Jared Davis, everyone in Detroit scoffs at, just like we scoffed at Kyle Benoit.
Would you have gave him $7 million?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
No, I mean, no, I probably.
That's exactly. I'm cool.
They
I'm cool with your idea, Nick. But I do it for $3 or $4 million. I ain't doing it.
Right.
Eggs, yeah.
Same thing with Romeo. We didn't want to franchise tag him for 19 mil, but
Romeo give us a deal. Was a decent deal, though.
It was a beautiful deal.
Yeah.
If you guys want to hop into it, let's Romeo.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Okay. So here some of the other defensive ends that were signed. Here's their contracts. Carl Lawson, 3-year, $45 million to the Jets. Leonard Floyd, 4-year, $64 million to the Rams. Matt Judon, 4-year, $56 million to the Patriots. Shaq Barrett, the big one, 4-year, $68 million to the Bucks. And then Mr. Romeo Okora, 3-year, 39 million, averaging out 13 a year, which was the only person that had 13 million a year was Yannick Ngoku, who I would say Okora's a little bit better, but Ngoku has proved himself in the past. He's just, bounced around teams and whatnot. But for what I'm looking at, these other guys, Hendrickson, Lawson, Floyd, Shaq Barrett, Judon, this is a steal, man. 13 million for the next couple of years. Nick, give me some of your thoughts on Okora. You were kind of the first one to get the ball rolling on our show with the potential of him coming back off the franchise tag.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to lose him. I really didn't. And as I stated last episode, I mean, we just got his brother. I want to see them kind of grow together. Okora, as I've overstated many times, who I always thought was just older than he really is not old. The dude's young. We're happy now. We got him contracted through until he's 28, 29. He's not even gonna be 30 by the time he's done with his second contract. So I'm all aboard. I'm all about it. I was a little upset that we didn't franchise tag him, but I see why we were doing it. And I didn't think that we would, honestly. As much as I thought that there was a chance, I really didn't think that the Lions were going to go back and try to get Okora, just because I thought Okora was going to be able to find some better money out in the market. I mean, the edge rusher, who everyone will overpay for an edge rusher. So I am shocked, but I'm ecstatic. I'm very happy to have Romeo back. I think he was the loan, because I would put Amari Aurier up there as well as the two bright spots, the two shining spots of our defense, and that was it. There wasn't any other shot. Okudah had a couple shining tackles, but he wasn't a shining spot. You know what I mean? Danny Shelton had a couple good plays. Flowers had a couple good plays, but most of it was just terrible, and that's all we could talk about all last year. That's just the terrible defensive play over and over, whether it was hitting the ref with your helmet, whether it was taking a horrible penalty after a great stop, no matter what it was, the lack of ability to stop the run. Every week we just ripped on him. But there were two players that stood out, and it was always Romeo Okora and Amani Aurier. I will not get that name right today. So I like that we made an effort to bring him back, because when you're one of two shining spots on the world's worst defense known to man, then there's something to be said there. And again, his age, again, his brother, there's a lot of things that's awesome about him coming back. And plus, I think, look at it right now. The Lions are getting rid of everyone, right? We're getting rid of everyone from the old regime. But you know who stays? Romeo Okora. And you know why he stays, in my mind? It's probably because Dan Campbell sees something in him. And if Dan Campbell sees something in you, he can see that you got the work ethic. Then I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm ecstatic. Not only is he coming back just because I know the dude, and this is one less new name I'm going to have to learn this offseason, because we're going to have 45 new names to figure out this year. Of the 8 that remain, this is one of them, and I like it. So I'm happy, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. I wasn't just happy to see him return. I was even happier to see the contract. Like I'm mentioning, I think it's a very, very, very fair deal for his production that he put in last year, even if, he plays half as good next year and then 3/4 as good the year after. So still not his full potential. We still don't, bust on that contract. It could look like a bad contract, but I don't think there's a way that this contract looks, something like people thought the Trey Flowers contract was going to be terrible, and it did year one seem pretty bad, but then Flowers, started putting up a little better numbers. So I think there's a plethora of bad contracts, right, that Bob Quinn had, but there's one that I think this kind of reminds me of the most. There's one contract that stands out from Bob Quinn's years is Taylor Decker. We got him for the 11th highest paid left tackle, and he outperformed 8 of the 11 players above him. That was a great contract for Quinn to go out on. I am not gonna lie. I am very happy that he did that before he left. Very happy. And that's kind of what this Romeo Okora contract seems like. We're getting him for a steal. His age, his grit, his tenacity, it's a steal in my opinion. That's exactly. I didn't even bring up the contract, but you're right, Adam. It's exactly right. It's a great part of this. All right, speaking of steals, we've heard that Kenny Galladay, his market range is not looking like what it was going to be last year. Obviously, the cap went down due to the COVID issues, and Galladay's looking at a $14 to $16 million contract. So is this a guy that's going to make us Lions fans think after we see the contract, like, oh, we probably could have made a decent offer and kept him?
My dog is barking. I apologize.
Your dog's got a lot to say. Let the dog chime in on Kenny. All right.
Love it.
Hey, he loved Kenny Galladay. You know what I mean? Great catches he made in front of my 7-year-old dog. But anyway, hey, it's just the cap this year, guys. It's just the cap this year. The cap is low. When he passed down that $19 to $20 million or whatever Adam Schefter reported, he probably didn't know the cap was going to be this low. He didn't know that conditions were going to be like this. So he's probably going to end up taking less than he wanted to, taking one on the chin. And a lot of these players are signing short-term deals where they can get out the contract in 1 year or 2 years, or the team can. And they're getting less money, and teams are cutting a lot more people. So it's just erratic. They just going to have to weather the storm for a year or two. But Galladay was betting on himself, and it ain't to say that he failed on that bet, but he's not going to get $19, $20 million. I think he's going to sign for like 15 million, maybe.
That's what it's looking like. And when he signs for, 15 million with Dolphins, the Colts, probably a few other teams could use him. I think it's going to be a steal. And I think the production for whatever contract, the years he has, is going to outproduce the pay. So whoever gets Kenny Galladay, hats off to you. You will definitely win that contract, most likely, because Kenny Galladay has been a bit injury prone. So there's that issue he has to deal with. But, Galladay has been a stud, and I think he still has it. I think he can produce as an elite wide receiver one with, the guys like Hopkins, Adams. I think he's every bit, one of the elites. So
I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think Galladay is a benefit of Matthew Stafford. I really do. And the more I watch
his
the
catch,
more I think about. Oh yeah, I watch the catches, and I see the quarterback who puts that ball there. And a lot of quarterbacks are gonna be able to put them ball there. I promise you.
I've been seeing it more too. I've been seeing that more too from when I watch Galladay. He might not succeed in the next place he go.
Watch him go to New York Giants and watch Daniel Jones throw him the ball, and you tell me how good this guy does. Like it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. There is football is a domino effect, right? Your run game, you can have a great running back, but you're only as good as your offensive line. You can have great cornerbacks, but you're only as good as your defensive line can get pressure. You can have great wide receivers, but you're only as good as your quarterback. You can have mediocre wide receivers, but they can be lifted by their quarterback, by an elite quarterback. I think you're overstepping by saying that Galladay is one of the elite ones with Hopkins and Adams, whereas I would be more than okay with Stafford being considered one of the elite ones, and I've always sat on that hill. But I'm not. I disagree with you, Adam, in the fact that I'm not putting Galladay in the top tier, and I think the tweet that said that he was in a tier under them, I think it hits the nose right on the head, and that's how it has been in fantasy. And we tried this year, right? We tried everything we could to up Kenny Galladay, make him a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy football. And he pooped the bed.
Well, he didn't really play. He was injured. He had a few stud games.
That's pooping the bed to me.
Yeah.
You give me every excuse you want if you don't go out there and play. I don't know.
I think Kenny Galladay
be a good receiver.
1,000-yard wide receiver, maybe even make another Pro Bowl or two. Because he has amazing catch radius, amazing possession ability. I just don't see how a guy like him playing in the X slot usually would. He does not create much separation, guys. That's just
not at all.
And I've been seeing it more, like I said.
But he doesn't need to.
Believe it. He played pretty decent with David Blau and a couple guys. A couple games he still showed he could do without Stafford, but not a lot. And he didn't play a lot. it's doubtful. That's all it is, doubtful.
You guys will see 14, 15 million. I would have absolutely loved Kenny back. 17, 18, 19.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. The Lions weren't going to sign. Like, we aren't franchise tagging, right? We aren't franchising him for 19 and a half.
He wouldn't.
mil or
Yeah,
whatever.
he's not. Yeah.
And I don't think he wants to come back. I think he has, which I don't know. Maybe he did want to come back, but maybe we didn't want him back. There was like age issues. There's the separation issues. I mean, maybe we didn't want him back. Maybe
in what the Lions do to get more speed at that position now that they moving away from Kenny Galladay, because they're gonna need wide receivers that can get separation, because we didn't have nobody really that could do it. Marvin Jones couldn't really do it anymore. He was more of just a big time possession receiver at the end. Danny Amendola was just a medium route runner. Quintez Cephas, he's like a medium to deep route runner, but he's young and you don't know what I'm interested to see what kind of speed we bring to the wide receiver.
Rondale Moore, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Run after the catch speed too. I'm talking about catching a slant and taking it 30, 40 yards. That kind of speed.
Watch Elijah Moore. For anyone listening who doesn't know who wide receiver Elijah Moore is, I believe he's out of Ole Miss this year. I could be wrong at that, but watch this kid. He is what you're talking about, Julius. This is it. This is speed. This is what we want. Man, Julius, your head just got decapitated with your background. That was hilarious. But yes, it's Elijah Moore. That's that. But there's a plethora of speed out in the draft class. We don't need to attack that in free agency, in my opinion. We need to attack guys who can catch the ball, because last year we had like the third most drops of all teams. And we need to address guys who can show that they can catch the ball in free agency, and then in the draft get the guys that have shown speed. Kadarius Toney, another name. Like, there's just a lot of them out there.
So as of now, the Lions haven't really added a lot of players. We added Tyrell Williams a few weeks ago. We know that. But in just this week, we've only had Jalen Reeves-Maybin return on a 1-year, $2.377 fully guaranteed contract. I think that's pretty solid. And then Romeo Cora return on a 3-year, $39 million contract. I think that's solid as well. And then we also went out and signed backup tight end Josh Hill, who was described by Dan Campbell, his former coach, as a guy who goes out and does whatever you want him to do. He will do whatever you say. And that's the players that I like. If Dan Campbell wanted him over, maybe a guy like Jared Cook, who also was a tight end for the Saints that got cut, I think it's interesting. So besides the fact Josh Hill, what other positions do we need to address before this draft? Nick, we'll start with you first.
Sorry, as I jumped off there. There's every position, right? Like, what positions
basically.
do we need it? I think in order to to get a little bit more specific, honestly, yes, every position, every single position. And to address it a little bit more, we need to attack linebacker. We need to attack defensive line, whether that's interior or outside, doesn't matter. Offensive line, get me to the right side. I need to get right side offensive linemen. We need wide receivers. We need some safeties and some cornerback. We need cornerbacks. Actually, I got to probably put cornerbacks up there. There's we need to attack everything. That's why I want to trade back, get more picks, That's what we have to do.
You know who I wouldn't mind, who's a cornerback out there, just got cut, first round talent, Adoree Jackson from Tennessee. He would prove that he was more of, a return man / flashy guy, but these are the types of players that, had the potential to get into the first round. So it's obviously there, and maybe they just need a change of scenery. So guys like that, I'm willing to take a shot on. I believe he's still relatively young. I want to say 27, but there's still some pretty good names out there. Your boy Hassan Reddick is still available, Nick. Wait, is Hassan Reddick still available?
Man, it's a frenzy.
He's listed under an edge rusher. I was looking.
You never know.
But yes, so here's some linebackers. I'll list them off. You guys jump in. Say if you want to sign them or not. Jaron Brown, Tennessee linebacker. KJ Wright, Seattle linebacker. Kyle Van Noy, Denzel Perriman. That's kind of about it. Quan Alexander. There's not a whole lot besides, I guess, Denzel Perriman, KJ Wright, Van Noy, and Jayon Brown. So any of those guys sound any appealing to you, Nick?
I'll make a quick point.
All right, let's see.
Linebacker is a position I also want the Lions to attack via the draft, heavy. because the way the position is evolving in NFL, it's really hard to go digging for these leftover free agents to find some quality, linebackers who can cover running backs and tight ends, which is what we're going to need our linebackers to do in that 4-3 in that 4-3 scheme. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind, we'll see what's left over, what the Lions do, but I don't want them to spend no big money on linebacker either in free agency. Not this season, off season anyway.
Yeah, and Julius took the words right out of my mouth. I don't really care for any of these linebackers per se. Now, the big thing is, and exactly what Julius said earlier, a lot of these guys are signing 1-2 year deals, right? They're signing these deals to kind of get around this, like, because the COVID's this is tough. You know what I mean? If you're looking for a contract this year, that's a bad year to be looking for a contract, unfortunately. So maybe if we can get some steals, like, but I just don't even know. Like, we need some major steals, honestly. Like with Trey Hendrickson going, he signed already. He's more of like an edge, but still can play a linebacker. Like, that's someone I would have been interested in. Hassan Reddick, for sure. I've preached that I do want him. And if we get him on a 1 or 2 year deal, I'm happy with that. But honestly, like, we get these good guys for 1-2 years. The Lions aren't going to be winners these next 2 years, unfortunately. I mean, we could shock the world. I'm not ever going to, root against us. But by odds, if I had $100, I'm going to bet on us winning less than 8 games this year. 8-9, 7-10, 6-11. That's weird to say, but that's what I'm expecting. So for that reason, I don't need to spend any more money. I don't need to spend a ton of money at all. I will wait for the whole first week, the whole first wave to go over, and I'll pick up the scraps. And I'll do my best at drafting, and I'll do my best at trading back and acquiring picks next year and the following year. And that's when we have lost a lot of this money that the last regime mortgaged our future to get all the expatriates that we could. Once we have gotten ourselves out of that hole and we have dug ourselves back up and we are on flat ground, I'll absolutely start trying to say we get back into signing. It was fun the last couple of years with Quinn getting all these guys, and we'd watch these free agency frenzies, and we'd watch and we'd see us get all these guys: Justin Coleman, Trey Flowers, Jesse James, Chase Daniels, such a bunch of great names. I'm happy we got all these guys, like great signings for sure. But no, I'm not expecting anything this year. I'm not expecting us to sign any of those big linebackers this year. I do think we should get it in the draft. I think the Notre Dame linebacker, whose name I can never pronounce, Jeremiah Owusu, something or other. I think that's the guy we should be targeting if we trade back. If we can trade back again, get Zaven Collins, get Nick Bolton. These are the linebackers that I think would be attacking. Some of them fit our scheme a little bit better than the others, but I'm just saying, attack linebacker in draft. Do not spend big money when you have a team that is in retool.
Yeah, agreed on that. I think we're pretty much I'm not going to say done with free agency, but I don't think I'm 100% set on, us being done or us being like not done. I think it's going to be kind of random the next couple of days. There could be days that, we don't see any Lions news, and then bam, we sign, someone like, Keanu Neal, who we are have our eye on, I guess. Peter Schrager was one of the guys who reported that. So Keanu Neal.
Per our chat, Mr. Grant Cook, who I don't know, but how are you doing? He said literally rumors the Lions will be active soon from Schrager. I don't believe it though. I mean, we'll be active, right? Like, we'll get a few players. The Lions literally have about 14 players on the roster right now, so we're gonna have to sign someone. But I'm just not expecting it to be any of the top players. I'm really not expecting it. My dad called out Will Fuller though, and Dad seems to be right. Happy birthday, Pops! By the way, Dad's birthday today.
Happy birthday, neighbor.
Happy birthday. But he called out Will Fuller, so I'm still expecting that to happen just because Dad said it.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me. The one that, re-signing, I think we're all still waiting on is the OG, Don Mulback. We're still waiting for Adam Schefter to announce it. Mulback to come back for his 50th season or whatever. He is so old that he played with Dan Campbell when Dan Campbell was playing on the Titans, on the Lions. So
I'm pretty sure Don Mulback's been playing since the Lions won a championship last in the 50s. He was out there. I swear to God, I think this dude is
Hey,
like
I was
85 years old.
this whole week I've been spamming a bunch of like Adam
Genius,
Schefter Twitter like tweets announcing like free agent signings, and then I comment announce Diamondback to the Lions. I did that like 10 times.
The
I didn't
real
even see
Lions,
that.
the people in his comments, they know.
They know. Bring them back, baby. Yeah,
Right.
you get a Malbec jersey, you'll never have to worry about not having, a jersey for a player for the Lions.
I think it holds its value right there.
That's right. Gets better with age, like wine.
Honestly, man. But we had a question pop up in our YouTube chat. So before we get on to our next topic, all right, if the top 4 quarterbacks are gone, Ja'Marr Chase is gone, Lions are up. Who is the guy who we're taking? And we can't trade back. I'll rule that out. For me, I confidently will say that I think the Lions will take Devonta Smith if he's there. I think I don't know. Wide receiver is really interesting. If we don't take one at pick 7, I think, we're going to take one in the second round. I think a wide receiver is going to come at least within our first 2 picks of the draft. So if Ja'Marr Chase isn't there, I know some people even think, that Devonta Smith might be the better prospect, or, Waddle might be the better prospect, but pretty much all 3 of those guys, I would be, fine with any of the 3. So for me, I think it's going to be Devonta Smith at 7. If we don't trade out, don't do anything, the 4 quarterbacks are gone, Chase is gone, I think it's going to be Devonta Smith. So, Nick, who are we taking at 7 if all the 4 quarterbacks are gone and Ja'Marr Chase?
I hope I don't even have my phone here. I was going to pull out my phone. I hope we call someone and trade back. But no, if that's not the option, shout out Corey Angus, by the way, with this question. One of my boys right there. I know that. I can see it. I can feel it. I can hear it. Who just bought a Stafford jersey last year. So, bummer. Here's the thing. That means there's one spot that we haven't talked about, right? We've talked about 4 quarterbacks, Ja'Marr Chase, and then there's one spot. If Panini Sewell isn't picked there, that's who I'm taking. I'm dropping the money at the door, saying, "Come on, I need someone to come fill this right tackle position, right guard position. He can do it all. He's a little bit of a process, right? He's a little bit raw, as they like to say in the draft process. He's a little raw, but I still want him. And there's a reason why he's being highly touted. If that doesn't happen, my guy that I'm preaching for is Jalen Waddle. Though I know there's a plethora of wide receivers that in this draft, and it's wide receiver rich, kind of how the last few drafts have been, and a lot of the drafts will be moving forward. That's just how the NFL is going. There's starting to become a surplus of wide receivers, where the best wide receiver might not even go into the 3rd round because there's so many wide receivers and so many people overthink things and overlook things and do all this stuff. Like you draft Marquise Brown instead of AJ Brown. Whoops, you wait, you let Michael Thomas fall to the 2nd, DK Metcalf fall to the 2nd. Like there's just a lot of wide receivers. You take Jalen Reagor over DK Metcalf. Next thing you know, you don't have your coach anymore. Like that's what happens in the NFL. So I don't think we need to take a wide receiver, but I would absolutely love Jalen Waddle. I think that's the perfect spot for us. I think if I had to bet money and we don't trade back, the Lions will end up taking Micah Parsons. That's just who. It's the same thing with Okudah last year. And as much as I sat here and tried to tell everyone to take Tua, to take Derek Brown. Wait, was that the same one? To take Derek Brown, to take Justin Herbert, to take anyone but Jeff Okudah. They don't listen to me. I don't know why, but they don't. This is the same thing. We are linked to Micah Parsons so much, no matter what off the field issues occur, in my opinion. Though obviously if it's like real bad, then this all goes away. But as of right now, I do not think the Lions get out of the 2021 draft without having Micah Parsons on their team. Whether that's trade back or not, I just don't think it's going to happen. That we're definitely going to draft Micah Parsons. So that's who I would say we draft. I don't like the draft pick at 7. I don't want the draft pick. I would not do that. But if you're asking me who I believe the Lions will take, Brad Holmes, Ray Agnew, Chris Spielman, Dan Campbell, these guys are going to sit down and they're going to decide, especially with Chris Spielman in their ear.
That's true.
Oh, that's a Micah Parsons pick all day. Like that's just who it's going to be, not who I want them.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be like upset with it at 7, I would definitely be like, it would be the same thing with Okuda. I mean, actually, I will say Okuda at 3 was a bit too early, but I feel like this could be the third straight draft in which, third straight draft in which the Lions take their pick. It seems a few picks earlier in which we took Okuda, Hawkinson, and now Micah Parsons. So
we don't know that Jeff Okuda is not going to end up a shutdown number one corner in NFL, because last year you could see something. It just wasn't like, oh, dead bust. Like who's that cornerback that we drafted in the second round? Teez Tabor. Teez Tabor, you saw immediately that this might not work, bro. But Jeff Okuda, you saw that athleticism, that twitch, that nose for the ball. He was thrown out poorly in a storm of BS on a firestorm coach and GM, and so, but he can still end up being a boss. And if we got a guy like a shutdown corner like Jeff Okuda, and we do end up drafting Micah Parsons, and he becomes a dominant force at linebacker, those 2 early picks, that's what early picks are supposed to be. Ndamukong Suh, Calvin Johnson, that's what that's supposed to be. And so that's what you hope to get still with those 2. I mean, with Jeff Okuda.
I most definitely agree. I hope Okuda is right. But the fact is that Bob Quinn was so bad. I think this is what Adam was saying, was that he was so bad about trying to give any kind of smoke screens that you could have predicted who we were drafting 3 months before the draft. And it seems eerily similar this year, but we have a new GM, and he's already gone out there with the quarterback comments, right? He's already gone out there and said, I love the quarterbacks. I want the quarterbacks. But ultimately, if we don't get a quarterback, who are we really going to draft in the first round? If we have the 7th pick and no one's trading up for us because all the quarterbacks are gone, I mean, are we really going to draft an offensive lineman?
When Mason Well is there, you have a tough decision to make.
I agree.
Because, I mean, what's the benefit of drafting him over Micah Parsons or Jalen Waddle?
Our offensive line has a little bit more depth than our defense. Like, I get the arguments, and it's tough to draft a right tackle with the 7th pick because he would have to play right tackle. Like, we aren't moving Decker. Decker was too good last year. Now, I like that. As a person, as someone who watched the Cowboys just overload on first-round offensive linemen, I don't mind it. You can always find a spot for an offensive lineman, especially a damn good one. But so a GM who is like not signing a bunch of people, going and signing a position, even though we got rid of Dahl, even though like Big V and Tyrell Crosby aren't amazing, he would just he'd get like kind of booed off stage type of thing, and I just don't see it happening. I don't think there's the same thing with like Patrick Surtain. There's no way we get a cornerback. Probably no way we draft a wide receiver, just because the Lions are known for drafting wide receivers in the first round, I just don't know if Brad Holmes will want to do that. He doesn't seem like a guy who will draft a wide receiver in the first round. So I honestly, like, and then what, we're gonna get Kwity Paye? Like, what other guy could we get? Like, if all the quarterbacks are gone and Jamar Chase is gone, I guarantee we're getting Micah Parsons or Kwity Paye, and that's it. Like, that's it. That is, unless we do crazy and we go Kyle Pitts, but it's the same thing. Brad Holmes doesn't want to lose his job that quick.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's also why I think Kyle Pitts is an extra long shot, because it would like already put Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell on the hot seat if we drafted a tight end at 7 inside, the top 10 again. So, that would be.
I really want them to trade down, man. I really do.
I think
trade to 12. Let San Francisco get desperate. Give us 12. Just trade down. Get more.
I agree. I
wanted to do that last year with the Okuda pick. I really did. That was my number one option. Trade it back. Get more picks so you could put more talent on the team. But they took Okuda by himself at 3. So,
and there's no one, honestly, at the 12 to 20 mark. Like, again, it would be like Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle, who even still, I think there's good wide receivers in the second round. I don't think you need to rush for a first round wide receiver. If we trade back to 12 or 15, let's trade back again. Let's trade back again and get down to 26, 27, 28. and a slew of draft picks either this year or next year or 2022.
What's the defensive tackle from Alabama?
Christian Barrymore.
With the Romeo War signing, that makes sense right there.
That would be amazing.
Trade to the bottom of the first and get a slew of more picks, and you can get Christian Barrymore right there, right in the middle, where we have nobody right now other than John Pincinini and Jay-Sean Cornell, who we don't even know what he could do. So,
and then you got a pick right there in the 7th pick of the second round or 10th pick of the second round, and boom, you get a linebacker. You get that Zayvon Collins, that Nick Bolton. One of them are going to fall. I can almost guarantee it. You get one of them.
Like 5 third-round picks or something crazy if we wanted to.
And then that's where you can get your wide receivers. That's where you get your Van Jeffersons. That's where you get these wide receivers that fall. These third-round wide receivers. These third-round offensive linemen. Jonah Jacksons. You know what I mean? You can all of a sudden you have 5 guys that are starters because we need starters all across the board, and they're starting from a get-go. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. Straight back to us.
That is the dream for Lions fans. At least trade back once. Trade back twice would be awesome. I think like Brad Holmes would sign. We would sign Brad Holmes to like another extension if he traded back twice in the draft. It would just be awesome. But some Lions that have departed and signed elsewhere. Jamal Agnew, Marvin Jones reunited back in Jacksonville. They will be going under old offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell. So it's kind of cool to see that they're all going to be on Jacksonville. So I'll ask you this real quick, Nick. Do you see Marvin Jones or Jamal Agnew playing better on the Jaguars than they did the last 2 seasons for the Lions?
No. Marvin Jones, we saw the decline, and I think he'll continue to decline. Honestly, the Jaguars receiving room is pretty full right now. Like DJ Shark is the beast. Laviska Shenault, if I said that right, is becoming a beast. I know Keelan Cole is now a free agent, but there's Aditi Westbrook is still there. He's learned too. He might be a free agent though. Aditi Westbrook might be a free agent. Yeah, okay. Well, okay, so maybe it might not be as crowded as I thought it was, but still, you add Agnew, you add Marvin Jones, and then you add Trevor Lawrence. And no, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to come out of the gate throwing 55 touchdowns. He's going to be a rookie quarterback. I don't think he's honestly going to be as good as Herbert, because there's more pressure on Lawrence than there was Herbert, and that plays a lot into a quarterback. It really does. Also, he's on Jacksonville, and that's tough. You get Urban Meyer, I know he's a coach before, but it's still like a new coach to a new team, new offensive coordinator. Like they're building their staff still. They don't know what's going to work. I don't see either of these guys being, or I don't see Marvin Jones being as good as he was. Jamal Agnew, I don't see being better than he was, but I definitely don't see him like declining. And that's because his only big thing is returns. And I mean, I guess he'll probably have, actually, here's the thing. He'll probably have less returns than he did with Detroit, because Detroit would score a lot of points. We might lose a game 50-40, but we would score 40 points. I don't see the Jags doing that. I just don't see him getting as many returns. But he's still a great returner. It just thinks that him and like Antoine Randall won't have like be sharing the locker room and stuff. I thought that was gonna be really fun to have them both.
I know. Yeah, would have been nice, but Agnew obviously not coming back. And then finally, the other guy we mentioned earlier was Jared Davis. Ironically, so it's him, Marvin Jones, and Agnew are the only Lions that have gotten signed in free agency. Jared Davis got a 1-year, $7 million. Julius, we all know you would have not paid this for Jared Davis, so skip that chatter. But give me some of your thoughts on Kenny Gallau. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, though we may not have paid Jared Davis, like, I am interested. Like, I think he's gonna be great with who the hell's coaching the Jets now? Who did we want?
Salah.
Who?
Robert Salah.
Robert Salah. I almost wanted to say Raheem Morris. Oh. I don't even know who Raheem Morris. I think it's an old running back or something. Anyways, Robert Salah. I think he's gonna get a lot of Jared Davis out of him. I'm not saying maybe he's worth what he paid for.
He's got CJ Mosley to work with too. So
Mosley might be cut though, or traded. I think a lot of people intrigued about him, calling for him. But you're right.
Trade him. I think
you're right. So he could be there. Regardless, I think Salah's going to get a lot out of Jared Davis, and I think we're going to sit there and think I think we're going to think kind of similar to what Vinoy was. Now, I don't expect the Jets to win 4 Super Bowls and Jared Davis to have a bunch of Super Bowl rings like Vinoy does. But I think Vinoy really stood out in New England. It was the new scheme, and I think that's what's going to happen with Davis there. Adam, you got to stop yawning, bro. That's like the 10th yawn you got over there. Drink a fucking Red Bull. God damn, you're making me tired. I'm
Oh.
trying to stay awake.
I'm not even tired. I just yawn. I do this all the time. For some reason, I'll just yawn. I'm not like I don't feel tired or anything. It's all that damn weed I smoke.
It's Michigan, baby.
Yeah. So
But hey, you said how do I feel about Galladay or Davis?
I was gonna say Galladay. Give me one destination you think he is going to land.
I mean, I could see him landing in New York. I could see him going. I could even see him. I don't know. Like the market is so condensed. I don't know where else he would go other than the Giants. I don't know who has the cap room to fulfill that need a receiver.
I thought the Jaguars had a good shot, but they
already added on heavy to the receiver room that already had LaVisca Chenault.
But what if they added Galladay and they just took Agnew, Jones, and Galladay?
Well, then they're going for a Super Bowl with Trevor Lawrence in year one. Urban Meyer, F this. Urban Meyer been having health problems, man. He's trying to win a Super Bowl right away.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Daryl Bevell was like, listen, guys, don't worry. I got it. Don't come here.
Honestly, yeah. Galladay, the wide receiver market is kind of narrowing down. We saw Corey Davis get signed. Emmanuel Sanders just went to the Bills. But other than that, we still have Godwin obviously got tagged, but we still have Juju who's still being floated out there. He could possibly go to, the Ravens, the Giants, Jets. There's probably not Jets anymore, but there's a bunch of teams for him to go to. And then pretty much the only other big name or names are Kenny Galladay and then Curtis Samuel. And I guess you could throw out the veterans like Antonio Brown and I was going to say AJ Green, but he is kind of just a shell of himself at this point. So pretty much just Antonio Brown, Curtis Samuel, Kenny Galladay, and Juju are the four big name wide receivers left on the market. So
would y'all be okay with a 1 year,
yes,
$10 million deal for Juju Smith-Schuster?
Yeah, definitely. It would just suck that we would waste that year.
It's true, but
we would be like,
okay with it. Would y'all be like, okay, that's good?
It honestly, because he does fit, and for what he wants, he said he came out
and explode with golf.
And he's an over the middle guy, fast, kind of a playmaker type player. I wouldn't even mind sending him out there for a punt return, kick return here and there, even though he's past that. But it would be interesting because that's what he would want, a 1 year prove it deal to show that I'm the elite wide receiver one. We say, you know what? We got nothing to lose. You be our wide receiver one. And hey, if you ball out, we'll trade you to a contender and you could get a Super Bowl this year, signing on to your 1 year contract. So Julius, you're kind of making me buy into this with that last little, The
longer he's staying out there being dangled in front of our faces, the more intrigued I am because we ain't got no receivers yet, and who knows? I don't think we're done free agency wise with receivers at all. I know I was mentioning we should go draft heavy, but we still need to fill like 6 or 7 roster spots.
If Juju wants to go to a quieter market too, and get out of his TikTok Hollywood, all the drama, Detroit is the perfect spot. He will not get.
I come to Detroit and prove it. You might have a veteran, like a young veteran too. He's still young, and he's being doubted by a lot of people. It's possible for the cheap. I wouldn't mind it for the cheap.
For the cheap though, like 10 million. We got like 19 million this year. Like we got like that's half of our. That's half. If you guys, how many holes we have? Like. We can't be doing that this year, boys. We can't be doing it. No, I'm going to say no to it.
That whole 10, though.
Okay, I mean, no, but still, you're going to have to guarantee. Like Juju, like he's still bringing the market. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we just aren't. There's no like. I wouldn't be opposed, but I really would. Like, I just don't even need it.
$3 million bonus incentives.
He's so young. Can we get him for 3 years? Pay him $3 million year one. 30 million year 2 and 30 million.
He might just go Robert Woods after 1 year with Jared Goff, and next thing you know, he's leaving next year for like some crazy $100 million contract.
I'm just not buying into us spending a bunch of money this year. I can't get into. I don't even know. Like right now, Spot Track is saying 13 million. That can't be right.
No, there's still things moving around with their figure. but they're going to save a lot of money the way they're going. If Brad Holmes continue to operate the way he's operating, they're going to save a lot of money this offseason to save up for next season.
That's true. And I wanted to jump in real quick on this Kenny Galladay thing. The top 4 teams, the only 4 teams he's going to go to are as follows: the Indianapolis Colts.
You look at Vegas odds?
No, the Cincinnati Bengals. These are the Nick Faber odds. Believe me, they're never wrong. The Indianapolis Colts, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Miami Dolphins, or the Washington football team. Those are the 4 destinations for Kenny Galladay. You can put it in the books.
Me being a Joe Mixon truther and Joe Burrow fan, the Bengals would be oh my goodness, that would be a sick. And then they get Panini Sewell at 5 or whatever. Oh my goodness. Bengals could go from pretenders to contenders. They could pull the old 49ers.
They went Trey Hendrickson, right?
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. I think
they got another big defensive player. I can't remember who it is. Malik Jackson, I think, or someone.
Yeah. So decent player though. But yeah, Bengals making moves. So again, another nobody franchise having a new regime, new everything come in, and look at them now. They're turning themselves around, new quarterback, getting ready to completely revamp, and the Bengals are, getting ready to become playoff contenders. So just goes to show that, Lions are a couple moves away from becoming playoff contenders, which is exciting. So finally, before we wrap up this show, let's talk our competitors, Packers, Vikings, and Bears. Packers, ironically, have not done a whole lot. All they did was re-sign Aaron Jones to a 4-year, $48 million contract, which as a fantasy owner of AJ Dillon, I hate, but as a Lions fan, for them to spend that money on Aaron Jones, hopefully it's all guaranteed, likely not, but for them to spend $48 million on a running back when they just drafted a 2nd-round running back who honestly proved it in week 16 against, I don't forget who it was, but he had AJ Dillon had 156 yards and 2 touchdowns or something ridiculous, in which he kind of showed he was that 2nd-round talent. So I'm glad they chose to spend up on a running back instead of their Pro Bowl center, Corey Linsley, who they lost to
Denver? No, that's not right.
It was someone, but they lost their Pro Bowl center, Aaron Rodgers' right-hand man, essentially. So I'll absolutely take that. They haven't signed a free agent so far, and they also have mentioned that, or Jamal Williams has mentioned that he will not be returning. So the Packers, this is kind of a win for us Lions fans. Nick, give me some of your quick thoughts on the Packers and what they've been doing.
I'm not surprised that they signed that they signed Aaron Jones. I think the AJ Dillon draft pick wasn't to overtake Aaron Rodgers. It was to overtake Jamal Williams, who they did end up letting go. They do run a lot of 2 running back situations. Jamal Williams, in fact, made a lot of fantasy owners pissed the last couple years. If vulturing plays away, getting good catches. Jamal Williams is always a guy I liked. So I'm glad he's off Green Bay. And in fact, I wouldn't mind if we tried to go get him and bring him in for a little bit of running back depth in any way, shape, or form. But I'm okay with that. I'm glad they got rid of Lindsey. Let's go. Hopefully they end up getting rid of Jair Alexander for some reason, because he was on the block and he's also one of the best cornerbacks in the league. So I wouldn't mind him leaving. Maybe Aaron Rodgers will leave somewhere.
Adams,
Devontae Adams could go, but no. I mean, I'm ecstatic that they're just like us and they aren't spending a lot. But the Packers never do. I don't sit there and look at what the Packers don't sign in free agency and think.
I will say, a couple of years ago, they went out and signed Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith, and those dudes have been studs. So
that's true.
Glad they haven't done anything crazy like that to even go over the top of the NFC North dominators they are. But Julius, quick thoughts on the Packers at all?
In that 4-year, $48 million contract to Aaron Jones, he ended up taking a lot less in guaranteed money than he wanted to. And if he would have actually left the Packers, he would have got probably less than that, because we all know the running back situation. We all know the cap situation. We mentioned it many times on the show so far. But I guess they kept him because he's a weapon for Aaron Rodgers to go on a run with. Okay, so, and they're going to go in, but it's going to strap them on a cap and coming in a couple years from now. That's why they had to let Linsley walk as well. The Packers are a year or two. They have maybe a year or two more of this Aaron Rodgers veteran pile up, go for it kind of, I think. maybe 3 years at most. But um, I think the Packers are still the favorite. I mean, what's going to change? I don't even think the draft is going to change that idea for me until the season starts, and no matter what moves they make in the draft or free agency, as long as they kept their core, which is Aaron Rodgers, MVP, Devontae Adams, one of the best receivers in the league, their offensive line is still together enough, and their defense is still together enough. So, yeah, the Bears and the Vikings are chasing them, and we're the Lions.
Exactly.
And we're the Lions.
I will say, the Lions are kind of shaping things into which we're going to be on the rise when kind of at least the Packers will be on the decline. Aaron Rodgers, 37, going 38 this year. So by 2023, in which realistically, that's when the Lions are going to be prime time. We'll have used our 2022 drafts, the first rounders, and Holmes and Dan Campbell will have had a year or two to, get integrated. So Rodgers, even if he's still there, a 39, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers with a young, new hungry Lions, I think we could have it there. So now we got to look at the Bears and the Vikings, in which the Bears, they're kind of just sitting in neutral this whole time. And the Vikings, they've made charges, but they haven't shown they can dethrone. So with both of their timetables, either of those teams don't have young elite quarterbacks with Kirk Cousins and Andy Dalton now. So they're going to likely have to have a new quarterback in the next, couple years or so. I'm not sure how old Kirk Cousins is, but he's got to be up there.
All right,
So,
he's like 30, 31. He's not that old. Vikings are a team to be scared of. Vikings are going to be all right.
Like 30. Yeah, but I that's why I honestly think it'll be us and the Vikings because, and by 2023, the Bears, their defense, Khalil Mack's going to be at least in his mid 30s, and their defense, and not to mention Pace and Nagy are on the hot seat in which they could easily get fired mid-season, end of the season, whatever, force the Bears into a rebuild. And, if you're going into a rebuild 2022, obviously you're not contending the next couple of years. So I like where we are heading with the Lions. So let's move on to the Vikings. They haven't done a whole lot either. All they've done was beefed up their defensive line. They added big boy Dalvin Tomlinson from the Giants. They teamed him up with Michael Pierce, who he's coming back. He took a COVID leave of absence. So they're getting two big defensive linemen coming in for the Vikings. So that's about it, though. They have shown they're interested in Keanu Neal like us. They let go of Yak Ngoku. They let go of Chad Beebe, the third string wide receiver, and they let go of Kyle Rudolph. So all in all, Julius, what would you grade this Vikings free agency so far?
I mean, I guess I graded a or a B for what it's worth. They haven't done too much, but what they started with last year with the draft and securing some of their top guys like Kendricks, and this year they just secured up Barr. They've added a little bit to their secondary, and what they're going to add on coming up with another draft. I think Nick alluded to, the Vikings are a team that can surprise people next season. Offensively and defensively. They just got to patch up that O-line and patch up that secondary. And if they do that in the draft, when they had a great draft last year, if they have another great draft this year, they're going to have a great season.
Yeah, I will say they got Justin Jefferson. I'm sure you're about to mention that, Nick. And also Dalvin Cook. So two elite offensive weapons that pretty much you can plug in, just about any quarterback with those two guys, and they should be able to get some touchdowns.
Also, wait for the emergence of Irv Smith this year. He's going to be a phenomenal tight end. They have 9 draft picks this year, boys. Wow. Maybe 10. That's so many draft picks. And you know what you can do with them? You don't need to draft 10 players with them. You can package a couple of them boys up, and you can trade from like the 15th pick to the 10th pick, and you could get Micah Parsons if we pass on. You could get these guys. Like, they have so many draft picks. They are getting like 3 or 4 of their top defenders back from COVID or injury. We saw the emergence of Justin Jefferson. Thielen's coming back. Irv Smith is about to break out. You draft, Slater in the first round, Darisaw in the first round, a couple big offensive linemen, good boys. You get them. and then you got 8 or 9 more picks to follow to boot. That's boys, the Vikings are going to be the real deal. The fact is, Kirk Cousins isn't horrible, but he'll never win a lot. Like he might be able to beat Detroit and stuff, but he's never going to win a lot in the NFL. I honestly think they're after this year's draft, they'll be one quarterback away from big things. They'll be calling Andrew Luck back or something because they are a team to be worried about. I am more worried about them than the Packers, than the Bears. For the next 5 years, I think the Vikings are going to be owning the division, and it's going to be tough. It's never the Lions.
Yeah, I won't rule the Lions out that fast, especially with everything.
We haven't won our division in like 27 years.
Yeah,
I think we can rule us out for.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm going to rule us out until they prove me wrong. But
that's okay. I'll give you that. That's a fair point. But the Vikings, all in all, they haven't done anything crazy. It kind of just depends on their quarterback situation, because if they get some elite free agent quarterback in the next year or two, or they hit the nail on the head on a rookie quarterback, because I wouldn't be surprised if they took a quarterback in the second, third round, or whatever. They don't have a second round pick, but as of now, Vikings have a first, 2/3, 3/4, 2/5, and a 6th and a 7th. So they have 12 picks. Yeah, you're right, Nick. So 12
picks. Jesus Christ.
They're
get rid of like 6 of them.
They had 14 last year.
They did it right a couple years before, man. They were doing it right.
Yeah. Well, maybe the Lions can do it right. Maybe we can build up, get 13, 14 picks in 2022. It's looking good so far, but the sky's the limit, I think, with all our picks we can have, just because we are in rebuild mode and it's kind of known to everyone. So before we get the show wrapped up, let's finish off with the piece de resistance, the Bears free agency, and how well they did on signing good old Red Rifle Andy Dalton. That was awesome to see earlier today. They are not going to pursue Russell Wilson. I believe they likely made a big offer for him, but it probably wasn't enough for the Seahawks to, really pull the trigger on it. Not to mention Wilson has been like a staple of Seattle and is like the man in Seattle for the last, 10 years or so. So I was pretty confident he was not going. Deshaun Watson, I thought there was a slight possibility the Bears, pay something crazy and get him, just because Deshaun Watson actually did not want to, or has shown he does not want to play for the Texans. But we can put that all to a side with the signing of Andy Dalton. Love to see it. And then finally, they are likely going to trade Anthony Miller. Nothing too big. And then the other good piece of news for us Lions fans, not so much for you Bears fans, if you're listening, Allen Robinson is not wanting to sign his franchise tag unless the Bears do something about their quarterback situation. I'm not sure if he was fond of Andy Dalton. I can't imagine he would be, all over Andy Dalton or, happy to have him in. But Allen Robinson has definitely shown his displeasure in the franchise tag, still has not signed it, and could possibly be, a franchise tag and trade type player, or a player who just sits out a couple games and, either gets traded or sits out the entire season. I probably would be a little surprised, but all in all, Nick, give me some of your thoughts on this Bears free agency.
First and foremost, poor Allen Robinson. I haven't seen a wide receiver go through this much turmoil when it comes to quarterbacks since Herman Moore had to deal with the Lions quarterbacks of the 90s. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I wish that upon no wide receiver. The grade for the Bears, I'll give them a good old F, because they suck, and no matter what they did, I would give them an F. They went and got the Red Rifle, and I love Andy Dalton. I'm not gonna lie. I love Andy Dalton.
He's better than Trubisky.
Well, that's true. I want the utmost success for Andy Dalton. I truly, truly do. I wanted him to be very successful with Cincinnati. I wanted him to be very successful with Dallas. I don't want him to be very successful with Chicago, obviously. But it just kind of stinks. Like, he's one of my players that I really liked. And whenever a player I really like goes to one of the NFC North teams, I just loathe them. So I cannot like Andy Dalton right now. Terrible picks. Hopefully they end up getting rid of Akeem Hicks. They just gave Mario Edwards a 3-year deal. That might be writing on the wall for Akeem Hicks, and that would be very nice for Lions fans. But yeah, they suck. Go Lions.
Agreed there. Julius, you got any comments on the Bears and what they've done this free agency?
I actually got a lot to say to a few Bears fans that's on my other show, Point of Discussion Brawl. One name goes by Juan Gutierrez. He's Bears Fanatical 94 on Twitter. Oh yeah, they're hurting right now in Bears land and Bears Twitter. This was hilarious when Andy Dalton. It was so funny. Oh my gosh! But the memes that came out of this. But I'm sure that they cannot be seriously going into next season with Nick Foles and Ryan Pace. As Nick Foles and Andy Dalton as their quarterback competition, because it's not going to end well. Their offense is going to be just as bad as they were last year and the year before that. They have to make some kind of last-ditch grasp for life to save this thing and to keep Allen Robinson and to keep whatever they're trying to building afloat. So it was funny though. That was funny. Andy Dalton was funny. Nobody wanted them. They were all waiting so patiently for Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, and boom, the red rifle popping to your doorstep, baby.
That was great, man.
Bear down.
Literally, Ryan Pace is trending on Twitter right now, and so I had to click on it to see what's up. And Ryan Pace honestly is trying to challenge Bob Quinn for worst GM in the North for the last 5 years. You guys might be like, no way, come on. But let me throw this out here. He signed Mike Glennon for an $18 million 1 year, traded up to get Mitch Trubisky, and then traded a fourth for Nick Foles, plus paid that big contract. And then he just went out and signed Andy Dalton. So Ryan Pace, you're doing a hell of a job for us Lions fans, not the best job for Bears fans.
Adam Pace, the only man to get 4 strikes and still be at bat. Like that's a swing and a miss on 4 straight quarterback attempts. The only other guy who is as bad is John Elway. But luckily, he got Peyton Manning at the tail end of his damn career, who noodle-armed himself to a championship. But other than that, yeah, like Brock Osweiler and Paxton Lynch and Drew Lock and Chad Kelly and like just the slew of terrible quarterbacks. Like those are the 2 worst quarterback scouts I've ever seen.
Yep, it has not been the best track record for them, but as us Lions fans, go Lions, and sucks to suck Bears fans. Woo! But that's kind of all we got for our show today. As always, we got a few things to plug, so go check out our Twitter account, Lions Brawl. And you can also, if you guys want to check us out individually, you can check out me, Adam, on Twitter at EverydayFFB. Check out Julius on Twitter at The Fifth Top. Check out Nick on Twitter at Nick Faber on FL. Yes, sir, that's him. And then you guys can also, we popped up a Discord for all you Detroit fans. We got Michigan State. We got Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers. Oh my, all of it in there. If you guys want to talk Detroit sports, mainly Lions, hit us up for that Discord. We posted a couple times, but it's a really cool chat we got going. Good community we're trying to build. But yeah, also check us out on Instagram as well at Lions Brawl too. Post some good stuff on there. And I know we alluded to a jersey giveaway. It's coming soon. It is coming soon. We'll likely, I'll announce it for the people that are staying on here. We're giving away. We're gonna be doing a Barry Sanders jersey giveaway. Also going to be tagging on some Lions Brawl shirts to give away too. So if you tagged on or you're listening to this podcast still to the end, hats off to you. Thank you for listening. And our giveaway coming up in the next couple of days. Has been announced on the Discord, trying to get people there too. But kind of all I got for this show, guys. You guys got any final comments?
Go Lions.
Go Lions. Watch the free agency show. Sit back, relax, get ready for the most important draft of our lifetimes, guys.
And if you're listening to this podcast, we are doing these live on YouTube, but we never know where normally they're going to be Tuesday nights, but they could fluctuate Monday, Wednesday, even Thursday, mostly Tuesday. But just keep make sure you, what is it when you're on Twitter? Adam, you're better at social media. Thank you. Make it so we always get our notifications. Alert us. Make it so we always come up, so you always know when we're coming out with our new live show. Come join us. We're a lot of fun live, and we answer your questions as you heard on this podcast. There's something in my head.
Sure, yeah. Maybe we'll have to get a mailbag episode going for next show. So that will definitely be something that will be fun we could do. But I think that's it, guys. Everyone have an